A Washington, D.C. lawmaker has blown the whistle on how the Rothschilds secretly control the American government and world banks on behalf of the New World Order. What's up, everybody? True Seeker here. According to D.C. Councilmember Trayon White, the House of Rothschilds have controlled governments around the world for hundreds of years. I'll go ahead and roll the clip right here.
First, I want to say I do support my local university. I think it's very important that we get behind you and support you. I guess one of the things I'm in question about was that there's this whole concept with the Rothschilds to control the World Bank, as we all know, infusing dollars into major cities. They really pretty much control the federal government, and now they have this concept called resilient cities, in which they are using their money and influence into local cities. How does this influence this? Because it's really about infrastructure and climate control. What does this have to do with UDC? Have they put money into UDC, or what's the relationship between the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers in this?
Well, I haven't met any of them yet, and they don't put any money in the UDC. We only refer to that designation because it was one that was given to the district, one of the 100 most resilient cities in the world. But what they look at as resiliency, which you mentioned, are things that we do for a living because of our land grant status. You know, we're about building sustainable communities and solutions to urban problems, and that's a lot what that resilient designation is about.
Councilmember, I can speak to the resilient cities question if you'd like. So we got designated or part of a group of 100 resilient cities across the world. And it really is for us to focus on how we prepare communities to deal with what we call shocks and stressors. And it's really about anything from natural disasters like flooding or changes due to climate change to man-made disasters like terrorism. And when those impact communities, what can we do to help prepare our communities, particularly those that are underserved and under-resourced, to manage through those crises? So if it's a flood, how do we help communities be resilient and come back from those kinds of things?
What's the relationship between the World Bank and UDC or DC?
I don't think there's a relationship between the World Bank and UDC. Part of the Rockefeller Foundation program is to just give us technical assistance and resources to help plan those strategies for man-made and natural disasters that may occur.
I'll try to move on for the sake of time, but I have additional questions which I asked another time.
Sure.
Kind of funny how they didn't deny the fact that he does control everything. Did you see anybody try to argue that? Oh, man. The Free Thought Project reports, according to the video, no one challenged the councilman, and his statements were accepted at face value. It was essentially a non-story until the Washington Post got a hold of it and ran a story calling his remarks anti-Semitic. Had White called hateful names or bashed them on their religion and culture, this certainly could be the case. However, simply criticizing a group who wields massive influence over the world due to their centuries of controlling in the bank industries is hardly anti-Semitic. However, White provided fodder for the Post when he took to Facebook after his remarks oddly suggested that the Rothschilds can control the weather too.
Man, it's just started snowing out of nowhere this morning, man. Y'all better pay attention to this climate control, man. This climate manipulation. And DC keep talking about we're a resilient city. And that's a model based off the Rothschilds controlling the climate to create natural disasters. They can pay for it and own the cities, man. Be careful.
As the Post reports, White's views didn't draw public criticism until Sunday, when the Washington Post published an article about its recent Facebook posting that suggested a brief snowfall in the district was climate controlled by the Rothschilds, who create natural disasters they can pay for to own the cities. It is most certainly outlandish to claim that the Rothschilds can control the weather. However, it is not anti-Semitic, and calling it so irresponsible on behalf of the Post. It is also important to point out that the Rothschild family is indeed one of the most influential groups of people in the world, and this influence comes in spite of their documented criminal behavior. Their massive influence is also important to point out because most of it is wielded without holding any form of public office. Money is simply thrown around the world to maintain their power. As the Free Thought Project has reported, the Rothschilds banking dynasty is a family line that has been accused of pulling the political strings of many different governments through their control of various economic systems throughout the world. Historically, there is ample evidence to show that the family has used insider trading to bulk money from both private and public funds. Towards the end of the Napoleonic Wars in 1813, Nathan Mayer Rothschild saw Napoleon's war efforts as a threat to his business practices and decided to step in to help defeat the French conqueror. He became the most important financier of the British war effort, pouring that equivalent of $900 million in today's dollars in 1815 alone. The defeat of Napoleon and subsequent ending of the Napoleonic Wars, which started in 1803 and raged through the continent for 12 years before finally coming to an end in 1815. During the Battle of Waterloo and Napoleonic Wars, Nathan Rothschild was responsible for the oldest case of insider trading, which led to the Rothschild family robbing a whole nation blind. When the Battle of Waterloo took place in 1815, horse messengers were the fastest method of communication information. The Rothschilds took advantage of this by having their own spies on the front line of the battle that would then expedite the information to the family faster than the messenger used by the military. When the British won the battle, Nathan Rothschild was of course the first to know, and he immediately went to the stock exchange and started selling stocks while putting out the rumor that the French had won the war. This created a panic on the floor of the stock exchange. Investors of all England began frantically selling their stock. With the price of all stock plummeting, Rothschilds was able to buy out the whole English market for a fraction of its cost. When word returned that the English had actually been victorious, the value of markets soared, and overnight Nathan Rothschild expanded his family's wealth and cemented their positions as one of the richest and most influential families in the world. Although the Rothschild family now keeps a very low public profile, they still have significant business operations across a wide spectrum of sectors. While you may not find any single particular Rothschilds on the Forbes Most Rich list, the family is estimated to control $1 trillion in assets across the globe, thus having a strong voice across geopolitical spectrum that may preserve as a hidden hand manipulating events silently from behind a veil of virtual secrecy and silence. While White was way off with the weather manipulation ideas, the ideas of Rothschilds funding political friendly allies to maintain their influence across the world is out in the open for all to see. And no, it doesn't make anyone anti-Semitic to point that out. It is also important to note that the Rothschilds garner so much attention because of their elusive nature and their centuries of history. However, they are no different than other mega billionaires who throw their money and influence around to grant themselves special privileges like monopolies and legislations to weed out their competitors. Despite the best efforts of Alex Jones, and like the corporate owners of government cannot be nailed down to just a few old rich men, this is because the owners can be anyone. The U.S. political system and most political systems worldwide are set up in such a manner that they allow for anyone with enough money to steer policy that benefits them personally. Politicians are hardly particular when it comes to who's throwing money at them, so ownership is constantly in a state of flux. The controlled politicians, the rigged system, and the elite are not some vast conspiracy as much as they are a tendency of the state in general. As long as a system exists that allows government force to be bought and sold for the benefit and privilege of a few, these atrocities will continue and Rothschilds will remain their lush lifestyle at the expense of freedom and the democratic process. The money shoved into the pockets of the politicians on behalf of the special interest groups, aka bribery, has become so mainstream and widely accepted that no one even bats an eye at the billions doled out to their elected officials on behalf of lobbyists every year. Republicans and Democrats alike sit back in their plush taxpayer-funded offices in white marble buildings, rubbing elbows with the elite businessmen who pay them to write laws that create unfair advantages for their industry. In the extremely rare case that a politician resists this corruption and refuses to conform, they are ridiculed by fellow lawmakers, painted as kooks by the MSN, and their supporters labeled as radical nutjobs. One need only look at how the media and political establishment treat Ron Paul to see proof of his claim. Meanwhile, the people argue over the various privileges granted to us and how much of our paychecks can be stolen by the almighty rulers on high. Until we wake up to the fact that there are very few differences between politicians with a D and politicians with an R, we will continue to see these owners make the decisions instead of the people. And this is all crazy when you just sit back and really just think about how everything really operates. I mean, literally, there's 6 people in the world that literally run the whole entire world. There's 6 people. Can you believe that? There's 6 people that controls billions of others. To me, when I think about this and I look back on it, I say, wow, that is one hell of a brainwash operation. How did we ever get this far into this? I mean, I don't understand. How can this be possible that 6 people control billions of other people? How can that literally be possible? And that should really start making you think about all the stuff that you've been taught, your parents been taught, your grandparents been taught. You gotta think about this. Generations and generations and generations were all taught these brainwashed ideas and lies to keep you conditioned, to keep you 100% in control. I mean, there's no way anybody could label this as a conspiracy theory. I mean, this is right in front of everybody's face. You can just look around everywhere, and you see everybody conforms to this idea. Some people get really triggered when you try to talk about this with them, because it takes their whole thought process out of how their world, their bubble that they created works. And it makes them start to actually question what they're really doing. And a lot of people don't like stepping out of their bubble. They don't feel safe. They don't feel secure anymore. And once they start realizing what the world they actually really live in, that's when they start to fear and panic. If that's what comes with learning the truth, then I'm 100% ready to feel whatever feelings it's going to give me, as long as I know it's the exact truth. I'm not going to stop learning the truth just because something might make me feel different. I want to know what we're actually dealing with. And I want to figure out a way to fix the problem, instead of keep blowing it off and passing it on to the next generation of life, which is what people have been doing for centuries. The time of evolution is here. It really is. I see a huge change from how things used to be to how things are now, and I see it actually getting better now. There's a lot of mass confusion put out by the mainstream media just to purposely keep you not aware of the actual real changes that's happening right now. The whole point of the mainstream media right now is to deceive everyone into thinking that this is the worst point in history ever. And this is literally just only the mainstream media that's even talking about stuff like this. But honestly, I've seen so much things happen already. I've seen so many people get really decent jobs already. I've seen so many good deals happen for people. I see online businesses booming like hell. I mean, this is like, wow. People were really happy with the extra credits and stuff that they got on their taxes. And now a lot of voices and controversial debates are actually able to happen now without being forced to be silenced. So, I mean, I see a lot of progress actually happening right now. And I'm not afraid of any new challenges to be introduced to me. Because I want to know everything, and I'm sure all of you guys want to know everything too. Don't we deserve to actually know what the real truth is? But definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
So, Facebook's cool and all, but are you getting sick of all the commercial money-making schemes popping up and taking over? At Buddylist, we don't invade your privacy, and we believe in creating a social network platform that's truly focused on helping you stay connected with your friends and family, and of course having fun. You know, posting status messages and sharing photos, creating blogs. Oh, and let's not forget commenting on those internet memes and funny viral videos. And did I mention that the membership to Buddylist is completely free, and we want you to invite your friends and family to help us grow. Got a band, an art, a business? You can benefit from integrating into our social network and creating your fan page to attract even more followers. Start a group and get people talking about a specific topic or niche that interests you. Come be a part of the fastest growing hassle-free social network. Meet people, make friends, and sign up for free today at www.buddylist.co.
Please subscribe to our channel, like our video, and comment below, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace! And don't forget to click the notification bell